When a man says, "I'm not like other guys," it's important to pause and reflect. On the surface, it might sound flattering. He's trying to tell you that he's special, unique, and different from the men you've experienced in the past. He may be trying to convince you that he won't hurt you, won't lie to you, and won't treat you the way others have. But let's be honest, this is often a red flag. What does he mean when he says, "I'm not like other guys"? Does he really know what that means? Is he referring to his actions, or is he simply using the line as a way to gain your trust quickly? Think about it. Every man has flaws, and he's no different. The issue isn't whether or not he's like other men. It's whether he's being real with you. If a man has to tell you that he's different, chances are his actions will eventually reveal that he isn't. Eventually, as fast as thought. We all have experiences that shape us. Some of those experiences come from past relationships. Maybe those relationships weren't ideal, but they taught us valuable lessons. So, when someone tells you, "I'm not like other guys," it might sound like a sweet sentiment, but consider what it means. Is he actually showing you something new, something real, or is it simply a line meant to put you at ease while hiding the truth? The truth is, "I'm not like other guys" is an easy way for men to avoid showing vulnerability. It's a line that deflects any further exploration into who they truly are. Instead of addressing their flaws or what makes them tick, they tell you something that you want to hear. But here's the catch. Words are easy. Actions, on the other hand, tell the real story. A man who truly wants to stand out doesn't need to tell you that he's different. He shows you by the way he treats you consistently and with respect. Don't be fooled into thinking that someone who throws around that phrase is immune to making mistakes. We all have moments when we fall short, moments when we're not at our best. It's not about being perfect, but about being willing to learn, grow, and be accountable. If someone genuinely values you, they won't hide behind vague promises and empty words like, "I'm not like other guys." They'll earn your trust with consistent actions. Think about the relationships you've had and the ones that felt the most authentic. They weren't perfect, were they? They were the ones where both sides showed vulnerability, where you could trust that what they said was backed up by their behavior. It wasn't about being unlike anyone else. It was about being real, about being honest, and showing up as who you truly are. When you hear the words, "I'm not like other guys," take a step back. Don't rush to let your guard down just because someone is saying the right things. Instead, pay attention to how they act when you're not looking. Do they support you in ways that make you feel seen and valued? Or do they only show you the side of them that's easy to love? Trust your instincts and remember that you deserve more than just words. You deserve someone who backs up their promises with the integrity of their actions. In the end, it's not about whether he's like other guys. It's about whether he's a man of his word, whether he's consistent, whether he's worthy of your trust. Hold out for the one who doesn't need to make grand claims to prove his worth, because his actions will speak for themselves. When a man says, "I'm too busy right now, but I'll make time for you," it's important to understand that while life can be hectic, actions speak louder than words. We all have responsibilities, work, family, personal goals, but when someone truly values you, they prioritize you. A person who genuinely cares about you will make time for you, no matter how busy they are. Saying, "I'll make time for you," is one thing, but proving it through consistent effort and attention is where the real test lies. We've all heard the excuse of being too busy, and while it might be true in some cases, it's important to realize that everyone has the same 24 hours in a day. The truth is, we all prioritize things based on what matters most to us. If someone really cares about you, they won't use being busy as an excuse to pull away. Instead, they'll find ways to fit you into their life, whether it's through simple gestures or by making intentional plans to spend time with you. Don't let the promise of "I'll make time for you" become a regular phrase with no follow-through. It's easy to fall for the idea that someone is just busy, but that they will eventually make time for you when things settle down. But here's the reality. If someone truly wants to be with you, they will show it through their actions. No one is too busy for the things that matter to them. And if a man truly wants to make you a priority, he will figure out a way to incorporate you into his life, no matter how many other commitments he has. Don't let the excuse of being too busy become a reason for you to wait around. Think about it. If you are someone's priority, they will find ways to connect with you. It's not always about grand gestures, it's about the little things. Sending a text to check in, making time for a quick call, or planning ahead for time together. These small acts show that a person values you and wants to nurture the relationship. Someone who is constantly too busy to connect might be hiding behind an excuse. Don't settle for someone who can't find the time to show you they care. There are only so many times you can hear, "I'll make time for you," before you begin to wonder if that's just a way to keep you on the back burner. It's one thing for someone to be genuinely busy and unable to meet all your needs in a moment, but it's another for them to make promises that they never seem to keep. If someone truly cares about you, they'll find ways to make you a part of their life, even when their schedule is tight. You don't have to wait around for someone who's always too busy to show up. You deserve more than empty words. At the end of the day, you should ask yourself, am I truly a priority? If the answer is no, then it's time to reassess where your energy is going. If someone is always too busy for you, it's not a reflection of your worth, it's a reflection of their lack of commitment. Your time and energy are valuable, and you deserve someone who is willing to prioritize you, not just promise they will. Don't settle for someone who is too busy for you, because you deserve someone who makes time for the things that matter, especially you. So, when you hear, "I'll make time for you," take note. Don't just accept it as a given. Look at how often they truly make the effort to be present and involved. Actions are the only true indicator of someone's intentions. Words alone won't build a meaningful connection. Only consistent effort can do that. When a man says, "I love you, but I need my space," it may sound like he's giving you an emotional buffer, but what does that really mean? We all need space from time to time. We all need our independence, and we all need moments of solitude to process and reflect. But when this phrase is used repeatedly, it starts to raise some serious questions. It's important to examine the meaning behind the words and whether this space is truly about him needing time to himself, or if it's an excuse for distance, avoidance, or emotional unavailability. Love is about balance. It's about the ebb and flow between togetherness and independence, but not at the cost of emotional connection. When someone says, "I need my space," it's crucial to understand if that means they're taking a step back to recharge, or if they're creating distance to avoid vulnerability or intimacy. We all need our own space to grow, to be ourselves, and to recharge. But love isn't about shutting the door and leaving someone in the dark when they need you. It's about communication and mutual understanding. "I need my space" can sometimes be a defense mechanism, a way to create emotional distance without dealing with the tough issues at hand. Take a step back and ask yourself, why does he need space? Is it because he's feeling overwhelmed by the relationship, or is it simply an excuse to avoid confronting the realities of the connection? The fact is, if someone truly loves you, they will prioritize working through issues with you, not shutting you out. They will recognize that space is necessary, but it's not a substitute for engagement. Love isn't just about the good times and the easy moments. It's about being there for each other through the tough times, too. If someone is constantly pulling away under the guise of needing space, it's essential to evaluate what that space really means for your relationship. You may find yourself waiting for him to come back after a period of emotional distance. You may hope that when he's had his space, he'll return to the relationship with a renewed sense of commitment. But in reality, this cycle can be draining. It becomes a pattern where you are left wondering whether the space is truly necessary or if it's an escape from deeper issues that are never addressed. Space shouldn't be a way to avoid important conversations or the emotional work that is necessary for a relationship to grow. A healthy relationship is one where both people feel heard, valued, and present. Constantly needing space might signal that one person isn't willing to put in the effort to maintain that presence and connection. Think about what this space really does to you emotionally. Does it leave you feeling insecure, unsure of where you stand, or uncertain about the future? Does it cause you to question the relationship altogether? Space can be beneficial if both people understand its purpose and respect its boundaries, but when it's used as an excuse for avoiding intimacy or neglecting the relationship, it creates emotional distance that may be difficult to close. If you're left constantly questioning what space means, it might be time to address whether that space is simply a cover-up for something deeper, like a lack of emotional investment or a sign that he is emotionally unavailable. In the end, when a man says he loves you but needs his space, the most important question you need to ask is whether this space is creating the emotional connection you need or if it's simply a way to avoid true intimacy. Understand that space doesn't have to mean distance. It doesn't have to mean withdrawal or emotional neglect, but it's essential to recognize when space becomes a way of keeping you at arm's length rather than allowing for real emotional connection and growth. If space is turning into a pattern of avoidance, it's time to decide whether this relationship is truly nurturing your emotional needs or if it's time to let go and focus on someone who will meet you halfway. You deserve someone who will love you with full presence, even when they need some time alone. When a man says, "I'm not ready for a relationship right now," it's often seen as a gentle way to back off without fully explaining his reasons. But let's break this down. If he's truly interested in you, why isn't he ready for a relationship? This phrase can sound like a polite excuse, a way to keep you around while not committing to the future. It's important to realize that timing in relationships is often just an illusion. When someone values you, they make the effort to prioritize the relationship regardless of their readiness. We all have personal challenges, fears, or past experiences that can make us hesitant to dive into a relationship, and that's understandable. But if a man is repeatedly telling you that he's not ready, it's time to look deeper. Is it because he's unsure of his feelings for you, or is he just afraid of commitment? Or maybe even hiding behind that excuse to avoid confronting his true intentions? This phrase is often used as a way to keep a woman around without truly offering the stability or commitment that a relationship requires. The truth is, we are all ready for a relationship when we feel that deep connection, that emotional bond that pushes us to make the person we care about a priority. Not ready can sometimes be a fear-based statement. It's easy to say, "I'm not ready," when you're not sure about someone, or when you're avoiding the vulnerability that comes with real emotional intimacy. But if someone truly cares about you, they won't let their fear of commitment stand in the way of exploring what could be a beautiful future together. Love isn't about waiting for the perfect moment. It's about being ready to step into something meaningful when the right person comes along. If he says he's not ready for a relationship but continues to call or text you, make plans, and show interest in other ways, it might be that he's keeping you in a limbo just enough to keep you interested, but not enough to fully commit. This is where you need to pay attention. His actions should reflect his words. If he's not ready for a relationship, his behavior should be consistent with that. But if his actions don't match his words, he may be keeping you around for his own comfort while not fully investing emotionally. At the end of the day, "I'm not ready for a relationship" can be a convenient way for someone to keep their options open. It's an excuse to not give you what you truly deserve: clarity, consistency, and commitment. And while it's important to respect someone's space and timing, you must also recognize that you deserve someone who is not only ready to invest in you, but actively shows that through their actions. So, when a man says he's not ready for a relationship, ask yourself, is he really not ready? Or is he using that as a way to avoid truly committing to you? You deserve someone who's ready, someone who wants to build a future together, not someone who's waiting for the right time to finally give you the love and attention you deserve. When a man tells you, "I'm just focused on my career right now," it might sound like a noble reason, like he's being responsible, building his future, and making sure he can provide before he invests in a relationship. But while it's important to be driven and focused on personal goals, you need to look at what this excuse really means. Is his career truly his priority, or is this just another convenient excuse to avoid emotional intimacy and commitment? We all have ambitions and dreams that push us forward, but the truth is, life is about balance. You can pursue your goals and still make time for the people who matter. The idea that a man's career should come at the expense of a relationship is a dangerous one. In a healthy partnership, both people should be able to support each other's ambitions without sacrificing the connection that they share. If someone truly values you, they will find a way to include you in their life while still working hard toward their goals. So, when a man tells you that his career is his only focus, ask yourself, is this really about his ambition, or is he using it as a reason to distance himself? Sometimes a man may be afraid of the emotional responsibility that comes with a relationship, and his career becomes the perfect excuse to keep you at arm's length. It can be an easy out, something that sounds respectable but ultimately leaves you feeling unimportant or secondary. We live in a world that often praises hustle and grind, and it's easy for someone to hide behind that. But there's a difference between being career-driven and using your career as a wall to hide behind. If a man truly cares about you, he'll make time for you no matter how busy he is. He'll include you in his life and show you that he can balance both his career and a meaningful relationship. If this excuse becomes a recurring pattern, you have to ask yourself whether you're simply being sidelined for something else. It's not about trying to compete with his career or ambitions. It's about realizing that you deserve someone who can integrate you into their life in a way that honors both their goals and the relationship. Don't let yourself fall into the trap of believing that someone's career is more important than the effort they put into making the relationship work. It's about priorities and actions, not just words. If someone tells you they're too busy for you because of their career, pay attention to how they act. Are they truly working toward their goals, or is it just an excuse to avoid something more intimate, more vulnerable, and more real? In the end, you deserve someone who is capable of finding balance, someone who values their career but values the relationship with you just as much. If a man truly sees you as part of his future, he'll make the effort to include you in it, rather than using work as a barrier. When a man tells you, "I just need some space," it might sound like he's trying to be considerate of your feelings, giving you room to breathe and letting things settle. But this phrase often hides a deeper issue. What does space really mean? Is it a temporary pause, or is it an exit strategy wrapped in polite language? The truth is, if a man truly values you and the relationship, space shouldn't feel like an indefinite distance. Relationships are about growth together, and healthy space isn't about pushing someone away, but rather about finding the balance between individual needs and shared connection. Think about it. If someone feels the need for space, ask yourself why. Is it because they feel overwhelmed by the intensity of emotions? Or is it because they're not sure about you or the relationship? Space can sometimes be used as a way to avoid facing the emotional responsibility that comes with love and commitment. It's not always about a need for personal time or self-reflection. It can often be a sign of emotional distance, of someone pulling away because they aren't ready or willing to make the commitment you deserve. In relationships, communication is key. When someone says they need space, it's essential to understand what they mean. Are they simply needing a breather to recharge, or are they creating distance because they're unsure about their feelings? If space is becoming a regular pattern, it may be a sign that something deeper is at play, perhaps a lack of emotional readiness or an unwillingness to commit. A relationship should be a partnership where both individuals make the effort to maintain the connection even when life gets overwhelming. It's important to recognize that while personal space is necessary in any healthy relationship, there's a fine line. Space should not be a way to avoid addressing problems, avoid facing emotions, or avoid the commitment that a relationship demands. If a man repeatedly asks for space without clear communication about what that space is meant for, you may be dealing with someone who isn't ready to prioritize the relationship. And that can leave you in a constant state of uncertainty, always wondering where you stand. So, what should you do if a man says he needs space? First, give him the time he's asking for. But don't lose yourself in the process. Make sure you're clear about your own needs and boundaries too. If you're giving him space, it doesn't mean you should put your life on hold, waiting for him to return. Use the time to focus on yourself, to grow, to evaluate what you truly need in a relationship. And if the space continues, if it turns into silence or an ongoing distance with no real explanation, you have to be honest with yourself. A relationship built on constant space isn't one that will lead to growth or intimacy. It's a relationship stuck in limbo. At the end of the day, space should never be a means of escape. A healthy relationship thrives on communication, trust, and shared time together. If a man repeatedly asks for space and doesn't make an effort to reconnect, it's important to recognize that this may not be the kind of relationship you want or need. You deserve someone who is ready to invest in you and the relationship, not someone who constantly pulls away when things get real. So, trust your instincts, recognize the red flags, and know that you don't have to settle for emotional distance. You deserve someone who wants to be present, not just when it's easy, but even when it's hard. When a man tells you, "I care about you, but I'm not ready for a relationship," it can sound like he's trying to soften the blow, like he genuinely cares, but just isn't in the right place for commitment. On the surface, it may seem considerate. He's being honest, right? But the reality is, this statement often leaves you hanging in uncertainty, questioning where you stand and where this relationship is heading. If he truly cares about you, he'll make the effort to figure out how to move forward, not just hold you in a state of limbo. In relationships, it's natural for people to have fears or reservations. It's normal to be cautious about committing to something serious, especially if someone has been hurt in the past or is dealing with personal struggles. But saying you're not ready isn't just about a lack of timing. Sometimes it's a way to avoid the emotional depth and vulnerability that come with a relationship. It's a way of telling you that even though he cares about you, he doesn't want to take the steps necessary to build a deeper, more meaningful connection. This phrase can also be a form of emotional detachment. It allows him to keep you around without fully investing because he's not ready, and yet he still gets to enjoy the benefits of your attention, affection, and care. It's a way of telling you that while you may be important to him, he isn't willing to prioritize you in the way that a committed relationship would demand. If a man truly wants a relationship, he will take the necessary steps to make it happen, not use his lack of readiness as an excuse to keep things stagnant. It's crucial to evaluate the actions that follow this statement. Does he show up for you in meaningful ways? Does he make time for you, or is he simply telling you that he cares while continuing to keep you at arm's length? Words without action are just that, words. If someone tells you that they care but can't commit, the question you have to ask yourself is, how long are you willing to wait for someone who isn't ready? Are you waiting for him to catch up, or are you stuck in a cycle where you're giving more than he is? A real relationship requires effort from both sides. Both partners need to be on the same page about what they want and where they see the relationship going. If a man tells you that he isn't ready for a relationship but still wants to keep things as they are, it's important to take a step back and reassess whether you're okay with the uncertainty. Can you continue to invest in something where the other person isn't giving you the commitment you need? Don't let this statement fool you into thinking that it's just a temporary phase or that things will change over time. People who are truly interested in building a relationship make moves toward it. They don't just talk about it. If he's telling you that he cares but isn't ready, understand that you deserve someone who is ready, not someone who expects you to sit and wait for them to make up their mind. Your worth isn't tied to his timeline. You deserve someone who sees you as a priority, not a maybe for the future. Recognize that you don't need to settle for uncertainty when you deserve certainty, love, and commitment. Don't be afraid to walk away from someone who isn't ready to step into the future with you. When a man tells you, "You're the one, but I'm not ready for a relationship," it's a powerful statement, and on the surface, it might sound like he's expressing how much he values you. It almost feels like a compliment, right? You're the one, but somehow he's not able to take that step. This can be confusing because it seems like he's telling you that you're special, but then he's also telling you that he's not willing to commit to the relationship you deserve. It's a contradiction, and it often leaves you questioning your place in his life. This phrase often reflects emotional ambiguity. It's as if he's holding on to the idea that you're the perfect person, but in his mind, there's an obstacle standing between you and the kind of commitment you both want. And that's where the problem lies. If you're truly the one for him, the natural next step would be a commitment, not an indefinite pause. Telling you you're the one while still withholding the commitment isn't a declaration of love. It's a hesitation masked as a compliment. What happens next is the real test. If someone truly sees you as the one, actions speak louder than words. He will show you that you matter to him by making the effort to invest in the relationship. If his actions don't align with his words, it becomes clear that the phrase, "You're the one," might just be a way for him to keep you on hold. He can say, "You're the one," but if he's not taking the steps to prove it, then it's nothing more than a sweet lie to avoid confrontation and keep things comfortable for him. He gets to have you in his life while avoiding the responsibility that comes with being in a committed relationship. Think about it. Someone who sees you as the one will treat you with the respect, love, and commitment that you deserve. They won't keep you in a state of perpetual uncertainty. This can be especially painful because when you hear the words, "You're the one," it triggers hope. Hope that the person you care about finally realizes your worth and will start to act on it. But if those actions never materialize, those words become hollow and start to chip away at your self-esteem, making you feel like you're not enough, when in fact, You're giving someone the space to take responsibility for their choices. It's also important to consider your own emotional needs. If someone truly believes you're the one, they won't just leave you wondering when or if they're ever going to be ready for the relationship you deserve. You are worthy of clarity, not ambiguity. When someone says you're the one, but isn't ready for a relationship, it often means they aren't willing to do the work that commitment requires. It may be due to fear, immaturity, or unresolved issues on their part. Whatever the reason, it shouldn't leave you in a waiting game. You deserve someone who is ready to move forward with you, not someone who keeps you in limbo while they figure things out. At the end of the day, don't settle for someone who holds on to you with empty promises. If you're truly the one, the man who recognizes that will show up, not just in words, but in actions. You are not a placeholder, and you should never be treated as one. It's okay to walk away and let someone else find the love they're looking for, especially when you deserve someone who's ready and willing to give you the love you're giving them. Don't be afraid to set the bar high and walk away from anything less than that. When a man tells you, "I don't want to lose you, but I need space," it can leave you feeling conflicted. On one hand, he's expressing that you're important to him, but on the other hand, he's asking for distance, which is confusing. It's as though he's holding on to you while simultaneously pushing you away. This phrase, often used in moments of uncertainty, can leave you second-guessing the state of your relationship. If someone says they don't want to lose you, it suggests that they care about you. But if they're simultaneously asking for space, it often indicates that they're not sure about how to integrate you into their life fully. The reality is, when a man asks for space, it usually stems from a need for emotional clarity or perhaps a desire for personal freedom. But here's the truth: space in a relationship is often a red flag. It's not always about the person needing time to think. It can be a subtle form of emotional distancing. If someone truly values you and wants to be with you, they'll make the effort to balance their personal space with the need for connection. They won't leave you in the dark, wondering what they mean by space or how long they'll need it. This space can sometimes be a way for them to avoid making decisions or taking responsibility for the relationship. It's like a pause button that gives them time to figure out how to navigate their emotions while leaving you to fend for yourself in the meantime. They tell you they don't want to lose you, but their actions show that they're not willing to invest the time or energy required to move the relationship forward. This is where the confusion comes in. How can someone not want to lose you, yet still need space from you? It's important to recognize that while personal space can be healthy in any relationship, it becomes problematic when it's used as an excuse to disengage or avoid commitment. True space, in the context of a loving and healthy relationship, is about respecting each other's individuality and need for personal time, while still remaining emotionally connected. When someone asks for space, but doesn't offer clarity or any indication of when they'll be ready to reconnect, it can often mean that they're emotionally withdrawing. In this situation, it's vital to ask yourself, what are you getting from this? Are you left in uncertainty with no clear answers about where things are going? Are you constantly waiting for someone who isn't emotionally available or ready to move forward with you? If the space is creating more confusion than peace, it's time to evaluate whether you're truly in a relationship or just waiting around for someone to decide if they're ready for one. Don't be afraid to assert your needs. You deserve a partner who is clear about their intentions and isn't asking you to wait around in limbo. If a man genuinely doesn't want to lose you, he will show that through his actions, not by retreating into a place of emotional distance. Space should never be a way of avoiding tough conversations or making a relationship one-sided. You deserve someone who is ready to engage with you emotionally without pulling away and leaving you uncertain about where you stand. So take a step back and ask yourself if this space is truly serving the relationship or if it's just another way of holding you at arm's length. When a man says, "I don't know what I want right now," it's one of the most ambiguous and disorienting statements you can hear in a relationship. On one hand, it acknowledges uncertainty, which is something everyone faces at times. But on the other hand, it's a statement that often leaves you with more questions than answers. You start to wonder, does he know what he wants from me? Does he even know what he wants from himself? And most importantly, why is he telling me this now, especially if we've been together for a while? This phrase typically signals confusion, but it's also a form of emotional withdrawal that can leave you questioning everything about the relationship. The phrase, "I don't know what I want," can be seen as a way of avoiding commitment or perhaps a way of avoiding confrontation. It puts the onus on you to figure out where you stand and what you should do next, while he's left off the hook of making any decisions. It can make you feel like you're in limbo, not knowing whether to continue investing time and energy into a relationship with someone who seems uncertain about their own feelings. If someone truly values you, they should know what they want, especially when it comes to a relationship. While it's true that everyone goes through moments of doubt, the continual state of uncertainty can be draining, especially when you are emotionally ready for something more. The other thing that often happens with this statement is that it leaves you questioning your own worth. Why doesn't he know what he wants? Is it me? Am I not enough? The self-doubt creeps in, and the longer you stay in a relationship with someone who can't seem to figure things out, the more you begin to second-guess your own value. It's essential to recognize that his uncertainty doesn't reflect anything about your worth. The truth is, if he really saw you as someone he wanted a future with, he wouldn't be unsure about what he wants. He'd make his intentions clear and start working toward building something meaningful together. The danger of continuing to invest in a relationship where the other person is unsure of what they want is that it can trap you in a cycle of waiting. You're waiting for him to figure it out, waiting for him to make a decision, waiting for him to finally recognize your value. In the meantime, you're neglecting your own needs, your own desires, and your own happiness. If someone truly cares about you, they won't leave you in a perpetual state of waiting. They'll show up and make decisions about how they want to proceed in the relationship. This uncertainty can be especially hard to handle if you're emotionally invested. You may want to believe that things will change and that eventually he'll realize what he wants and commit to you. But it's important to consider that sometimes people don't figure out what they want because they're not meant to be with you. Not every person who enters your life is meant to stay forever. When someone says they don't know what they want, it can be a sign that they are unsure of their feelings, not necessarily about you as a person, but about whether or not they want a relationship at all, or with you specifically. And that's something you have to come to terms with. In these situations, it's crucial to maintain your boundaries and not settle for a relationship that leaves you emotionally hanging. You deserve someone who knows what they want and isn't afraid to pursue it with you. Don't let someone's uncertainty cause you to doubt your own worth or hold yourself back from the kind of relationship you deserve. If someone is unsure about what they want, you have the power to decide whether you want to continue being a part of their indecision or if it's time for you to move on and invest in yourself and your future. Don't let someone's confusion become your emotional burden. You deserve clarity, stability, and someone who is ready to make decisions with you, not leave you questioning what comes next.